Question came in through my social media, through my Instagram, where I present a weekly Q&A. And this question came to me that I immediately wanted to respond in like a story format, writing it out, but I thought this would be a great opportunity to actually share my answer to this in a larger format, in a more open format where I can kind of talk freely rather than try to summarize these little bits together. So the question that was asked was, how's microdosing going? What do you love? So I'm going to dive into this. For those of you that don't know, I started a microdosing journey, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago. Actually, probably more. I think I'm going into my 4th week. And a little background story to that is I am probably the last person you maybe would think of that would go on this journey if you actually know me. I don't really drink that often. I don't smoke weed. I don't have a good experience with it. I very much love my sober life and my reality, the connectiveness, the awe of me in my sober ass. I love life and I am thriving. However, I began to be interested in microdosing probably the tail end of last year, but the interest was piquing me, but I just kept shutting it down. I'm like, no, but that's not for you because of X, Y, and Z. And that's fine. That's valid. It'll call you when you're ready for it. So I started getting more interest, and earlier this year, I actually listened to a masterclass on microdosing by a very good, respected practitioner that I really align with for a lot of concepts, is Christy Nault. So I watched her masterclass, and I was like, okay, I actually think this could really be for me. Through the aspects that resonated, that were the subconscious rewiring. I've been very interested in that since learning about nervous system regulation and, just going through my own breathwork journeys, my own meditations, seeing what is so much out there for me that I never tapped into or even understand about myself, wild stuff. So I was like, that's really interesting to me, and the connectedness to nature. So from watching her masterclass, things started popping up, right? Netflix show, Fantastic Fungi popped up. I started watching it. I'm like, hell yeah. Learning about the mycelium network, that, the fungi actually are connected in a huge network with trees and with the earth, and they hold carbon. So they're all part of this system that is just here to clean up the shit that's dead, to support death, and then to also support rebirth, where new life grows out of it. And that's where fungi grows, or breaking down a dead tree and reusing the materials from the tree that it broke down to formulate new life, new bacteria, new microbes in the soil or whatever. So that whole aspect of being that connected with this huge network that has been around for so long. There's so much information that is within our plants, that is within nature, that is a huge network connected together. So I'm going to pause this real quick so I don't get any more distractions here. So I am already I'm a very grounded person. Going out in nature is where I center myself, and I feel very connected with nature, and not just nature, but also animals. That is a part of nature. So when I'm out there, I feel and this is the best way that I explain it. When I am out in nature, I just want to wrap myself in the field and just be there, and just be so into nature. I'm actually connected with it. That is how I've wanted. There's been so many times on my walks or my hikes that I see this field or I see these trees, and I just want to curl up in it and just wrap myself up all in it, and a blanket of freaking nature. But to be seen doing that would be weird, and people be like, this girl is weird. And so I obviously care about people's judgment. So that's something that I'm there's a deep burning desire to be that connected with nature, but I hold myself back because of what other people might think. So all these things were just like aligning for things that were really resonating with me, that were really just hitting home. And so after the masterclass, and then after watching the Fantastic Fungi Netflix documentary a few months later, I went out for a walk, and this was, again, probably a month ago. I was like, okay, I'm feeling really called to it, but I'm waiting for a sign. And so I went on a walk, and right as I was speaking this to myself, to God, to spirit, I was like, give me a sign that this is for me. And like right as I spoke those words, my attention went to a dead tree that had moss covered over it. And I've been on these walks so many times. I go out to these woods so many times, and I see dead trees all the time. I've even like had moments with a dead tree where I was like just sitting on it because the moss felt so cool. And so I just happened to, my attention drew to this mossy dead tree. And as I'm looking at it, like right as soon as I look at the dead tree, I see these spikes out of it. And they were like little teeny tiny spikes out of it. So I don't know if that was a different form of grass or if it was like a mushroom, but I was like, oh, is that it? And then I looked around a little bit more, and like my attention went right like below that. And there was like a little teeny tiny mushroom popping out. And I was like, that's my sign. Because right as I spoke those words, how did my attention shift over there? Like there is a call, there was a pull that my attention shifted right over there, and then I saw it. And I've looked at that dead tree so many times passing through. I've looked at other ones and never like been a draw to a mushroom or like seen one or like thought anything of it. And this time I did. So if anything that resonated with me, I knew this was calling me. This was for me. This is what my intuition was guiding me to. This is what was for me. And then the rest was history. I went home and I told Houston, and Houston's my boyfriend, and he's been on board with this. He's been interested in it too, just as I have, maybe for different reasons. Like I'm very more spiritual with it. And he's like, yeah, sounds cool. So, a month ago we started it, and I was very nervous. And just a little note about microdosing. It's microdosing psilocybin, and the blends that I get are 0.1 of a gram, so 0.1 gram. And for an actual trip, it would be about 3 grams. So this is 0.1 grams. So again, a micro dose, not a macro dose, a micro dose. And within these blends that I'm taking, there's lion's mane. And then you take these through depending on what part of your cycle you are. And for men, it kind of just like whichever one you feel like you want to take. There's 2 different blends that, I'm getting. And so I switch between a one that has lion's mane, psilocybin, and cacao versus another one that has psilocybin, lion's mane, and rose. And I can't remember if it's like rose petal or rose hip or something, but it's rose. So both of those I kind of like alternate depending on what part of my cycle that I'm on. And so it's not just like psilocybins, we're also getting the other medicinal mushrooms like lion's mane in it, and then heart-opening herbs, or I don't even say herbs, but substances like cacao is very heart-opening. So if you've ever attended a cacao ceremony or you've ever done a practice with cacao, it's a very heart-opening experience. So those are the blends that I'm getting, and the thing that was holding me back is I had a little teeny tiny trauma from a previous, I guess, MDMA or Molly is a psychedelic. I don't know. I went to a business after party event January of 2022, and there's a whole story behind this, but because of that experience and what happened a week later from that experience, I swore that this stuff isn't for me. I tried that at the business party, and it was not a good environment for me. I really went against my intuition, which had already booked the Uber to go back home. And not that anything bad happened in that experience. It was what led to afterwards. I just felt like my mind was in a lot of different places when I came back. And then I went into a massage almost a week from the time that I first tried it. And I had a panic attack in a massage, and I've never had a panic attack before. I've never really dealt with full-blown anxiety or really ever experienced it in that capacity that I was. And that's kind of what ensued afterwards was I had a panic attack, and then I was freaking out in my body. Why is this happening? And what kind of led from that was just like a lingering of anxiety. So it was like this huge panic, like this huge blowout, like And then I'm freaking out because I'm like, what? Where did this come from? What's happening? And then just like trickling from that was anxiety. And it just slowly went away through the months. I would say by maybe October, September, October, I could say that it was officially gone and I never experienced it. And I had like literally worked through that. And I also met with a therapist for a whole month in January because I was totally freaked out. And somebody was like, why don't you just like speak to somebody, like speak to a therapist? And I'm like, duh, why am I not? And so that was really kind of what terrified me to ever try it, because I was, through that, experience, I was like, that I just learned that stuff is not for me. And maybe it isn't, but maybe that one in particular wasn't for me or whatever. I don't even know what I got out of it. The general experience, the intentions, I didn't have any intentions with it. The intention or the thought that went into it is like, well, everyone else is doing this, so I guess I'll try it. And then I went against my own better judgment of my intuition that said, this isn't for me, I'm leaving. But I went against that and I went and chose other people's thoughts over mine. And then that's when I took it. So I feel like that was a huge awakening of how many times do I gaslight myself? Do I disregard my own inner wisdom and choose something that other people might want me to choose? And don't you not like that experience? Don't you have not a great experience when you choose something that wasn't out of your choice and you went against your own intuition and then you find out this is, your intuition was telling you what was right for you and you went against it. And so here I had this huge experience, but and all of that sounding really scary, and I called it little T, like little trauma, because I was terrified in my own body. I didn't know what was going on. I felt so out of it with my thoughts. They were like deep and they were ruminating. I couldn't sleep. I was having trouble sleeping for the longest time. And that was like the last thing to finally like get better for me, was just sleeping through the night. No like wake ups and thinking about things, like sleeping through the night. And that experience, although it was absolutely terrifying, honestly, I learned so much from it. And this is just really good life lessons, that your worst moments, your lowest moments are propelling you like a springboard forward into the lessons learned and what you are meant to learn from that experience. Because life happens, scary things happen, bad things happen, sad things happen. So much bad things can happen within our lives. But in those moments that you're in there, it's like, what can we take from this experience? Because I can't change anything that happened. What can I take from this experience to better myself, better my journey, and take this on through my life? And that was that experience, because I've never experienced that stuff before. And the things that I had to work through, the way that I took care of my nervous system, the way that I dove into nervous system healing, nervous system regulation, really like getting back into my body, that was tremendous, not only for my healing, but now I'm carrying this stuff with me through everything. And I'm doing this almost on a daily of nervous system regulation practices and knowing what is right for me in ways to tone myself or regulate myself when I might be feeling more heightened, or maybe I don't feel heightened yet, but I'm like, I know where this could go. Pull ourselves back. And not only that, but just impacting my clients to be able to speak on these things, because now I've experienced it and I worked through it. And I can say here today that none of those things I experienced last January are at all occurring or I am experiencing at all. I completely worked through it and turned things around. So that was just like although in the moment of it, I was so scared and terrified and only seeing the negative, as I was working through it, it's like, wow, this actually taught me a really great lesson that I needed, and many lessons within this like terrible experience. So even from that, when I decided, okay, nothing is for me, like I don't need anything external to make me happy, enjoy my experience, or make me feel complete. That was my path, as I was like, I need nothing, until microdosing just started peaking to me more and more and more. For those aspects. I also run a business, and there are a lot of moments where I have a dip in creativity, where I feel like maybe I see somebody's content and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to do something like that too. And that's not even my own creation, which I know I am a manifesting generator. And if you, I forget what kind of archetypes those are, but basically I am a manifesting generator, which means I'll see something that I like about how somebody does something or get an idea, and I'll take with it, but I'll like make it my own. So that's just kind of like what I have been doing as an entrepreneur too. But at the same time, I feel I hold myself back, and I haven't truly I feel like there's a blockage of me stepping fully into myself. And with doing microdosing, I am very interested. I'm mostly interested in the journey that I can fully step into who I am. Not worrying about what this person might think, not worrying about what these people might think that have nothing to do with me in my present moment and where I'm trying to go. And isn't that just a concept for a lot of us, that we are just holding ourselves back from other people's opinions or other people's judgments or what they might think or what they think that I should be. And so all these things together with the connection to nature, connection to self, connection with higher power, the subconscious rewiring, and the potential benefits being an entrepreneur that I experience is just stepping into completely owning my truth. I have such a hard time marketing myself when I know how life-changing my coaching is. Why do I have a hard time getting people or talking about it or pitching myself or putting my, ass on the line and being like, hey, fucking work with me. You need to work with me because of X, Y, and Z. And I'm telling you, we can get you there. And I have such a hard time doing that. Don't know why, but I want to fully break away from that shield. That's just like, oh, but don't talk about your business too much because that can seem cringy. When I believe so much in my business, why am I holding myself back from what people might think is cringy? When other people boast about their business, I don't think they're cringy. I think, wow, they're being confident. Like, they're confident and they're showing up and they're like literally telling you right here, like, I'm going to take you here. You need to work with me. And right now is your chance. And I'm like, why can I not do that for myself? Because I fully believe in what I do so much, and it is so changing. And in my coaching, we are truly leveling up women. We are leveling up what women have been stuck in, these patterns and these limiting beliefs or these biases that they have accumulated through their life of what health should be or what they should be. We are truly doing remarkable work here in a holistic realm, which means we're not just looking at your workouts and your nutrition and making sure that you're hitting this and that. It's like there are so many layers to this, and we are literally healing and leveling up women across the board. So I believe so much in what I do. Why am I not speaking on it? Why am I afraid to step into my power? Why am I afraid to step into owning my true self and getting and accepting what is meant for me? So all this being considered, that was my introduction and intention with microdosing, is to clear things out, let me step into my highest self and create abundance and be in abundance and believe in abundance. So I am now 4 weeks into microdosing, and I do 4 days on and then 3 days off. So what my routine kind of looks like right now is Saturday to Tuesday, I'm doing a microdose in the morning. And you might think that like, oh, she's microdosing, but like, I don't feel anything. I don't feel like there's even a sense of highness. I don't perceive any like altering of my visual field. Honestly, it's kind of like I'm just taking a vitamin in the morning, but I'm setting a very thorough intention with it, where I take it and I either put my hand on my heart. So if I have to, like, for example, last Saturday, I had to go, as soon as I woke up, I had to go ride horses. I just didn't give myself enough time. But as I took it, I spoke to myself and I gave my intention, like, real quick, plant medicine, speaking to it, what I would like to, my intentions for you are, or what I'm calling. So just doing that, something super quick, but most of the time it's more in depth of I sit down with it, I get my water, I do a meditation, and then I journal, or it's the other way around. I journal and then I meditate, and really set the intention for what I am doing this for. Like, what do I want this medicine to do for me? What is this plant medicine, and if you want to call it psilocybin, like what is this little bit of this fungi, this psilocybin, this mushroom, how powerful and like how full of wisdom this is from being so connected with Earth for years. We're talking millions of years. These things have been around and all part of the mycelium network is you can't just take it and expect this life altering thing to happen if you have no intentions with it and you don't ask it what you're looking for. So that's kind of like how I set it up. And through this journey, here I am 4 weeks into it, and I just can kind of reflect back on my journal entries I was really scared of the first time. So I did it on a Saturday with Houston, and then we just like hung out the rest of the day. So it wasn't like a work day where I was like, oh, like, I don't know. So feels completely normal. Any change so far? I guess I would say that I feel like I was expecting to have dramatic, like life-changing things happen each and every day that I microdosed. And it's not. I don't truly believe it's like that. I think it's through the journey, the things that you're unfolding, and it's kind of like the wave of life that everything operates on. Your heart rate, your menstrual cycle, the moon cycle, your, I don't know, EKG is probably the same thing as heart rate, maybe not. But just everything runs on a wave, and that's kind of just what I feel like it is until I'm like 3 or 4 months in through this journey, because there is a time frame to do it. It's not something you have to do every day, and not something you have to do for the rest of your life unless you feel like that is what you want to do, because whatever resonates with you is what resonates with you. So right now my goal is to do I think it's 3 to 4 months. I need to double check on how long I need to do it for the specific like program or, protocol for using it for its intended purpose for spirituality and for all the things that I mentioned, subconscious rewiring. So through this journey, I do feel like I would say more synchronicities are happening. I'll look at the clock and the numbers are, 444 or 333 or 111. And I just like, something pops in my brain of like, like, it's just a little tiny, like, interesting. I'm seeing when I go out in nature, I've always seen animals in nature, right? But it's just something different where it's like, I've been seeing bucks, and this could be the season, right? I'm not going to totally discredit it, but what feels, interesting to me is I'm like, wow, I'm seeing these crazy bucks that I haven't really seen before, and I'm getting really close with animals. They're letting me walk up to them pretty closely. I haven't, been able to get this close with animals before. This is weird that it's happening. I see cardinals all the time, but cardinals is what I was seeing before I ever started microdosing. I was in South Carolina, and I was believing this to be like, Houston, I'm seeing cardinals all the time. And then we were in South Carolina, and I saw a cardinal as I was laying out in the Airbnb that we had. And I was like, see, this is a sign. Don't know what it is, but this is a sign. And so I've always been seeing cardinals, so still seeing cardinals. But it's just like the animals that I'm seeing and like getting closer to, or that they're like not afraid to move when I am walking close to them, is just kind of like interesting. Don't know if that's connected, just something that I've noticed. And I feel like I too have started to just kind of step into me, like, and owning all of me and whatever that is. So there is a little shift. It's not something life-changing like I think I was like thinking each and every time would be. But through it all, I'm really, I feel like it's like slowly making my steps to it. And so it doesn't feel so like powerful right now, because I think it's so minimal, but it's a step closer. So I guess my favorite thing about it and what I love is it's not what you think it is. It's not this macro dose. It's not something that you're like high walking around, or, if you see me on my social media and you're like, oh, she's high. Like, I am not high at all. Like, this is like, I feel completely normal. I don't see anything different. I don't, it's sub-perceptual. So it's literally 0.1 of a gram, not even 1.1. So very sub-perceptual. So my thinking is that there's a lot of stuff subconsciously happening, which is why I also am not perceiving it. But it's just work happening through the time. So I think journaling is really helpful. It's something that I haven't really done before. I haven't really been consistent with it. I've always wrote gratitude, which was kind of my form of journaling, but with this, I've been writing in my notebook, and it's helped me like get back into meditation because I want to set my intention correctly with these. So I've been getting into meditations. But in general, like, I feel very much thriving as I did before. I just think there's little teeny tiny things, and I can't really explain it because I'm only 4 weeks in, but little teeny tiny things are like little shifts that are happening. And almost like sub-perceptual, right? Which is why I'm kind of like, there's something shifting in me and I can tell, but I might just chalk it up as I don't know. So I guess to answer your question, that's my experience so far. Is it's been really great. Life was great for me before, but I also think it might impact people differently. It could be really life-changing. It could be really very shifty for you, just depending, like totally depending. I would say something I didn't know about going into it was taking magnesium, because it can deplete magnesium. So when I do microdose in the morning, in the evening, I'll take around 400 milligrams of magnesium biglycinate. And that was just an added thing that I just learned from Christy. But I know there's a lot of testimonials that she shares of people who, it's helping them get off of medications that they're on. Whether that's ADHD, whether that's depression or anxiety meds, it's helped them wean off of it and not be utilizing them. So it can be pretty remarkable for some people. But again, my experience going into it I wasn't struggling. I'm just more so interested in what taking a 0.1 gram of these, magic mushrooms is going to do for me. And if I can handle this, like, this is good. At this point in my life, I don't need the macrodose, because again, that's where my little teeny tiny little trauma was taking a macrodose, and could have been way too much on my system at that time. There's a lot of factors that could have been involved with the whole environment and experience as well. But my rationale was, if I can do all this subconscious rewiring, if I can get this connection with nature and myself, if I can get this creativity unlocked and stepping into really who I am meant to be, who I actually am at the core of everything, not really who I'm meant to be, who I am at the core of everything. If I can achieve this, or if this is happening for me, and I'm doing 0.1 gram of a psilocybin mushroom that is connected to a massive, phenomenal, deep knowledge, worldly knowledge of the mycelium network, and I don't have to trip. I don't have to feel out of my body. I don't have to feel not in control. I don't have to feel like I see things that are trippy. Like, that's what sold it for me, is that. So this could be, I'm just sharing my experience and just kind of where I came into with it and how it's going so far for me. It's going well. Almost seems like I'm just taking a vitamin, right? Like, it's just like, okay, we're here and we're doing it. I don't feel anything. It's so sub-perceptual, but sleep has been amazing. Sleep was doing good before too. So I think everyone's experience is a little bit different. And I kind of was coming into this as somebody who swore she would never do these things and would never need it or do it, and also had a bad experience that, left her scarred, where she was like, nope, not for me. And here I am stepping into it, and I'm having a great experience. Nothing is off for me. Yeah, there's going to be there's been some things in relationship wise where we've had a couple fights, and it's helped me. I feel like I've been able to shift how I respond in some of those arguments, and what I come back to. So I don't know if this is all of my, learning that I'm doing within my holistic health coaching too, is, just learning to step back before I react, before I, lash out, is like, what is it that's really bothering me here? Like, why does this bother me? So it could be a collection of things. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's all that, just things that I'm noticing. So I guess a very, very, very long answer here is my experience is going great. What I love about it is that I can achieve these things, or that I might be working towards these things. And it's sub-perceptual, and it's such a micro dose that these things, can be happening for me. So I will keep you all posted on my journey as I go, and maybe share another clip at the total end of my experience, and maybe what has came through for me, or what has really shifted for me, where I can kind of come to you with a very more, this is from start to end my experience, rather than just being in the middle of it, because my perspective might change, who knows. But I appreciate this question, and I appreciate you asking, and Also being able to sit here and listen to this, journey for me so far is, I really appreciate that. So thank you for asking that question.